Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with the one and only Dev Sahni on the coast. Bournemouth sees fight card, Frank Warren, Queensbury Promotions coming back to... is it the first time in Bournemouth in quite a while, Dev?
In my time, I've not been to Bournemouth other than for a stag do. And my memories of that stag do are particularly hazy. I'm hoping I'll remember this show. But yeah, does it look like I've got an earring on?
No,
I'm just quite conscious of that. Yeah, big show. Collision on the coast. And Ryan Garner has earned it. He had a brilliant 2024, a breakout 2024, and he made it pretty clear to Frank Warren that he wants to fight close to home on the coast. And here we are. Big fight, European title fight, unbeaten opponent, and he's got his work cut out because this homecoming could just be an absolute nightmare if that Salvi Jimenez fella turns up.
What would you say has been the key for Ryan Garner in recent years and months, considering a lot of people have talked about the talent he's had, but it's never quite worked for him, but now it seems that he seems to be seizing his opportunities?
Here's my understanding of the Ryan Garner story. He was going off the rails. It was all going horribly wrong. Fallen out of love with the sport, found alcohol, found all the bad things, all the debauchery. He was doing all that. Then he found a girl. Then he fell in love. Then she settled him down, and now he's had a couple of kids, he's got a fiancée, and he's decided that the way that he can provide for them is through boxing. That's his best possible way to earn the most money. So he's really knuckled down. He always knew he had the talent. He's knuckled down, he's doing it for them, he's doing it for himself, and it's working. So he's got this dream, and things are all starting to come together for him, and fair play to him, he's turned his life around.
I saw a clip of you having a conversation with him about those sort of themes. The BIC is one of those arenas or places or venues where it gets rocking in there. You don't need too many people in there, but I'm sure it will be a load of people in there, but you don't need too many for it to simulate an atmosphere.
There will be, by the way.
No, of course.
Yeah. There's just not many tickets available at all, by the way. That's all I keep hearing. So I don't even have to plug tickets today, apparently. So.
No, fair enough. But the point I was making is that can be quite a daunting atmosphere for your opponent, but for the person who's got the pressure of delivering for their fans, you get a sense that's all that Ryan might feel the moment at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, even Nick Ball in his homecoming against Ronnie Rios, and he's the coolest man in the world. Even he afterwards said that he felt it a little bit for the first time, that big raucous applause that he got from the M&S Bank Arena, and the fact that when he was making his way to the ring, everyone was trying to, tag his hand and say hello and try and get selfies and get him to kiss babies and all of that kind of stuff. He was the man that night, and that was quite new for him, and he felt it. And for me, that was strange because that's Nick Ball. So I don't know how Ryan Garner's going to react. First time headlining. Sometimes it can be too much. Let's hope not. He seems quite a composed guy, and I'm sure he'll be okay.
Lewis Edmondson obviously captured British title against Dan Aziz, looking to roll into more momentum as he plans for an assault towards the top of the division. That saw Bivol and Butterbiev and Bivol fight to Bivol getting revenge, but it seems like in the future those belts are going to shake and fragment and opportunities are going to arise. Do you feel like Lewis Edmondson is someone who can, in the next year or so, capture or fight for a world title very soon?
He's 10-0 at the moment, 29 years old, British and Commonwealth champion. I don't think he's far away. 1 year feels fairly close. It feels like there's good sort of domestic names who he could take on first before that. This is just me thinking out loud. It's not like there's a plan that I've heard or anything like that. I'll just look at the other light heavyweights out there. You look at the loser of Yard Arthur. That'd be an interesting fight, right? It feels like that's the sort of mix that Louis Edmondson's in at the moment. And more, even more than that, Ezra Taylor. That for me is the fight. Ezra Taylor's coming tomorrow to the weigh-in. He'll be on the stream, and they've had all sorts of back and forth, beef, needle, never met in person, but plenty on social media, plenty said in interviews. That feels like the perfect fight for both guys, and I'd hope to see that should Louis Edmondson come through on Saturday.
Carol Atoma. Let's talk about Carol Atoma, because Carol has made an interesting move. He's moved over to the McGuigans, and I guess for Carol, he had that setback, but he wants to prove that he's got all the talent in the world, just like his brother, and step out his brother's shadow a little bit under the guidance of the McGuigans and get to the top himself. What do you want to see from Carol this weekend?
Just want to see a happy Carol Atoma. I'm not sure he recovered from that loss, even though he had a few after that and he won them all. it just felt like it hung over him a little bit, the demons of it all. This is just my impression of it. But I know he spent some time away. He's sort of got things all sorted in his head. He's got property ventures and stuff like that. He just wanted to make sure his life outside of boxing was all good. I think he's had a child as well. So, and a new camp with the McGuigans, which is a great camp to be a part of. So I'm hoping we see the Karol Itaume essentially that turned over and showed all of that promise, because he's got all the talent in the world. He was an Olympic youth gold medalist, and he's an Itaume. Itaumes are really, really good. So if he's got his head screwed on here and he's put in all the work, which I'm sure he has been with Shane McGuigan, he could be a real problem at light heavyweight, and I hope it all gets going for him on Saturday.
Let's go to some of the fallout in boxing. Before we get to last night's fallout, the fallout from the Beterbiev Bivol card, I wanted to ask you about Daniel Dubois. Of course, had to pull out of his scheduled fight with Joe Parker. My colleague Reddy Rahim said he had a chat with Don Charles about the viral infection that pulled him out, and felt like that was the right course of action to remove him if he wasn't 100%. I think Frank Warren said similar sort of thing as well too on a Box Nation interview with Umar, and shared a few more details. The thing is though, boxing fans, people in the industry are, I guess, ready to point the finger and say maybe Daniel Dubois didn't want that fight. That surely isn't the case. Daniel Dubois would have taken the fight, especially with the money that was there for him. Who's ready for it?
I mean, it just feels like it doesn't even really need addressing. You've said it all in your question. The money at stake was huge. You don't just put yourself away for weeks and weeks and weeks, train your heart out, and then pull out because actually I don't want to fight him anymore. It is nonsense. He wanted to fight. He was all set to fight. He would have made an absolute fortune. And I'm sure if it was all down to him, he would have fought. But he's got wise heads around him who have decided that wasn't the best thing to do. And yeah, rightly so. If you're not 100%, certainly don't fight Joe Parker.
Last night you saw Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn come to blows, and it was, well, I wasn't covering it yesterday, but I was certainly hooked by that press conference. But that moment that we saw Chris Eubank Jr. he was armed with an egg, and it went splat onto Conor Benn's face. Just watching that, what did you think of that moment?
I just thought he slapped him initially. I thought Conor Benn, because Eubank leaned in, didn't he? Yeah. And I thought, oh, Conor Benn said something really bad here. Maybe he said something about his dad, he's gone personal or something like that. And that's why Eubank slapped him, because Eubank's normally fairly cool in those situations. But yeah, the egg thing, I mean, it took me by surprise. Clearly reached boiling point, and I'm sure they'll have a cracking press conference tomorrow as well.
On the outside looking in, who do you look at as being the favourite in that fight?
Genuinely, I think it's a 50-50. It's you're not going to get any new analysis from me out of it. It's about Benn's exuberance and youth and lack of miles on the clock, and just that energy that he'll have being the much younger man, and how more comfortable he should be at the weight. He's the one going up. He's not having to drain himself down compared to Eubank's age, his advancing years. He hasn't got that many miles on the clock, but he's getting older. It's harder for him to make the weight. They've got these weight stipulations, which I don't know fully, but they don't sound like they help Eubank Jr. So I'd probably end up leaning towards Benn, but I don't know. He hasn't boxed anywhere near the level that Eubank Jr. has. He hasn't got the wins that Eubank Jr. has. Groves, I know he didn't. It was De Gale that he beat at the tail end of his career. But he's been in with Groves, beat Arthur Abraham. Guys like that. They're a higher grade than what Conor Benn's been in with. But it could just be timing. Stars may just align for Conor Benn to just chin Eubank Jr.
It's been a little bit of a thread between the potential of Hamza Shiraz and Chris Eubank Jr. having a fight in the future. Now, of course, Hamza Shiraz comes off of a draw, but do you feel like in the future that's a fight that we can see those two duke it out?
Yeah, I think if Eubank wins, then it's just like, it feels inevitable. Hamza's is so. Did you see the pictures today of his hand? Yeah. My God, it was like the size of two hands. So fair play, just even getting through 12 rounds with an absolute animal in Carlos Adames. But their names, I think, are going to be linked until they fight because of Hamza's growing star power and Eubank being a star that he is. For me, they're the two best British middleweights right now. I don't think Denzel Bentley's too far off, by the way, and Denzel Bentley will heavily contest anything that I'm saying there, but he'll say that he's number one, and he'd like to prove that. But for me, they're probably name-wise right up there right now. I'd like to see him fight one day.
Do you get a sense of, as to, obviously, it's all kind of a bit raw with the draw with Hamza Shiraz, but the move that he might make, whether it be a rematch or look to move up a division, because the talk was, of course, coming into this fight that he might be one of the names on the fought fight list for Canelo Alvarez. Now he will look to want to still reach that potential, and I'm sure he can get to that. But is there a sense of what his next step might be?
There's no sense from me because I haven't spoken to him, but I know he was in the office today. I know that he saw Frank, so next time you're with Frank, have a chat with him. Yeah, I don't know, but obviously he's huge. He's 6'4", which is a ludicrous weight to make at 160 pounds. So you never know what he's going to do next.
I think we're about to get started for this press conference. Anything else I might have missed that you want to touch on before we wrap up?
The collision on the coast, mate. It's all happening Saturday night. TNT Sports and around the world on DAZN. Tune in.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Dev.